Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We got Doc Talk up next, so let's go ahead and get it flying. A fine good evening to you folks. It is me, Gene, with the TPO podcast, The Doc Talk, brought to you by Battleborn Tackle at Battleborn Tackle, battleborntackle.com. Go check them out online, small business, veteran-owned tackle retailer. Great prices, as good as the big box stores out there. He's worked very hard to get that, and free shipping on a ton of stuff. Stick with us here to the very end, after these interviews, to the very end. Stick with us, and we're going to share a discount code for you. Tonight's episode is being pre-recorded, so just make sure we are not live, just so you're aware of that. We've got a library of these great interviews that we've been putting together, and to accommodate other folks' schedules, we try to record these to make life a little bit easy. Again, this is not live. We are pre-recorded. All right, tonight, man, veteran-owned small businesses. Speaking of that, we have count them, 1 and 2 interviews lined up for you tonight. Two very, very cool people. I enjoyed these interviews a ton, getting to know these people. First up, we have Jenn Nolan of Jenn Nolan Fishing, Champions Outdoors. They're down in Texas down there. That one was a ton of fun. Dude, she is so full of energy. You're going to love this interview. You can tell she's passionate about any and everything she gets involved in down there. And it was a ton of fun to share some time with her and learn about her story and her life of service. And then following that, we have Mike Unruh out of, I believe, the Missouri area there, if my old memory serves. Mike, U.S. veteran as well. Involved in just a laundry list of things that this man continues to give back. Beautiful family. He's a family man first and foremost. Believes in service to his community and everybody around him. The Fallen Outdoors is he's involved in as well. They're small business owners and they are involved in nonprofit work. They just continue on. That's why we continue to highlight these type of individuals. So first up, we're going to go ahead and roll into the interview that we had. We had a blast with Miss Jenn Nolan. So sit back, grab a beverage there, and let's get to know Miss Jenn Nolan. Without further ado here, our next in this series here, we have U.S. Navy veteran Jenn Nolan of Champions Outdoors. Jenn, how are you doing?
Man, I am doing awesome. Excited to be here and have a chance to talk about life together, man.
That's right. You know, I was saying it in the intro here. That's the training alone. You know, those individuals that choose a life of service. That is basically, you know, what we talk about, active military veterans, first responders. They're finding ways to give back in some fashion or form. And then you move on from that chapter of your life into, you know, the next stage. But you've continued that whole trend of serving others, you know, from the get-go with this here. Talk to me a little bit about your service. You're in the United States Navy.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
What
Navy.
When and what did you do?
Yeah, for sure. Back about 18 years old, I had already achieved the rank of E4 and was in my first year of service. So when I tell you I started early, So, when I was 16, I was in my third year of ROTC, and I knew that my father and my grandfather had served in the Navy, and my brother was already enlisted. He was getting ready to graduate. He was in the delayed entry program, and I was told that, I could be a photographer, which is what I wanted to be when I grew up, and do that in the Navy. And I'm like, shut the front door, let's get it. And I'm in Tennessee, growing up, a little bit of a wild child up there in the hills of Tennessee. Grew up fishing my whole life, but when I joined the Navy, it was right at the end of Desert Storm. So 1992, I signed my papers for delayed entry, took off for boot camp in 93 as soon as I graduated, and I graduated a little early, so I was still 17. And I remember having zero fear about anything. And it's literally, closing up on wartime, and I'm running off full speed to boot camp. And this was pre-stress cards. Okay. So
right.
like, let's go.
We're all bulletproof at that age, right?
Oh yeah, there's nothing. You couldn't tell me a whole bunch of nothing. I don't know that that's changed anymore, but you still can't tell me too much of nothing. But yeah, that was me, and I was excited. I remember being excited to serve because it's what my father had done and my grandfather had done, and my big brother was already there, and they were guaranteeing our duty station to be together. And my brother and I are very close in age and close growing up, so all of that made it, just so much more honor to serve. And because I came up through the ROTC program, I knew what I was going into, and I think not everyone joins the military early and has general knowledge, and so I went in with that general knowledge, and I was rewarded for that. When you do that time before service, when you get in there, you're getting ready to rank up to E4 pretty quick. So
that's third class, right? Petty officer third class.
Yes, sir. So, that for me at 18 years old, they told me, oh, you can't just go to photography school. You got to be an airman first, and then you got to serve 2 years, and then you got to strike. And I'm like, I'll be out of here by then. What are you talking about?
Right. I'm fast tracking, homie. I'm not here for the long.
I get on the accidental fast track. It's always because of some accident or incident that's meant to destroy that ends up being awesome. So I had a major ear rupture training to do some underwater events, and you had to go through the full training as if you had a helicopter crash, as if you did these things. You had to go through that training process to prove that you could sustain yourself should something happen. Right. So during that, I had really terrible eustachian tube issues and stuff all growing up. So I had a massive rupture, like an unrepairable rupture to my eardrum during this training. So I got set back for 6 months. And so here I am sitting there like, well, okay, what am I going to do now? So they made me the secretary of the captain of the base. So now I'm a writer by trade, I'm a writer by birth, I think, so all of this comes out of here. I got to put it down somewhere. Right. So I get assigned. So here I am just turning 18 years old. Captain Yazinski of the Orlando Naval Base got me assigned to him as his secretary. So now I'm responsible for writing some pretty serious stuff. Right. So, and I did a hell of a job, not because, I had so much knowledge, but I had military candor. I had respect, and I was grateful to be there, regardless of my situation. So I did the best job.
You had the pedigree, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So now it's time for me to leave to go to my duty station. And they literally were like, where do you want to go? We'll send you anywhere. I'm like, well, I want to go to Norfolk, Virginia, because that's where my brother is. Who does that? Who picks Norfolk when nobody, right? And so the captain is standing there. They're having a full ceremony. I've got the letter and everything. We're doing all the stuff. And he's like, no, really, we really wanted to honor what you've done here. They were like, we're really like just blown away because of my age. And I understand now. To me, I was just doing what I was told to do. But looking back, I'm like, that was definitely something that you wouldn't see at my age. And so he said, well, what about school? Where do you want to go to school at? I said, well, I want to go to photographer's mate school, but it's full for the next 2 years. And he looked at this person next to him, and he looked back at me, and he said, thank you, officer. It was an E3. So he said, thank you, Airman Wheeler. So I exited the room, and I went out, and I sat at my little desk, and was getting ready to leave for my duty next week, wherever it was going to be. When my prayer was Norfolk, right?
Right.
And so I get my duty papers. Back then it's a little printed out paper, and it's telling you where you're going, where your next time to be there. We didn't have a conversation about it, right? And I got my little packet and headed to the little air carrier there that they were going to put us on. And they were sending me up to Pensacola to Defense Photography Training School. And I cried like a little girl. First time I cried in service. And then my forwarding service was going to be to Norfolk once I completed my A school. And I've been living on that blessing ever since.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's good stuff. And you're right. You don't normally see that at at the young ages, being able to go after those things. But that is in my personal opinion, that is a trademark of service. I mean, it's when you get into serving, you got to grow up. There's no alternative, type thing. It's either it gets done. Yeah. And so you take care of what's in front of you. You
can't call someone to come pick you up because at the sleepover.
Yep. And no one cares that you're upset. No. They're like, okay, cool, noted, get it done. No, and away you go.
Let them know. Never let them know. I remember them telling me, hey, if it's your birthday, don't let anyone know. So I was silent on my 18th birthday. I did not want to deal with the possibility of what might come from that. Like,
Right. That's awesome stuff. So so you went through Orlando,
Yep.
moved up, and then Pensacola for a while, then moved on through the service. When did you leave service?
I left in 1997, so I did a 4-year tour.
Nice.
Got my my nice veteran college benefit, and during my 3rd year of service, believe this or not, I'll be 50 next year, so I'm not a spring chicken. Which also means that it's possible that I have a very adult child, and I do, and she'll be 30 next year. So I had her in my 3rd year of service, and so at the end of my 4th year, I was committed to go another 4 years. I drew papers for the Eisenhower.
Nice.
That was set for a 6-month deployment, which was not nice.
Right.
Because Taylor's father was already on deployment. So it definitely created a situation that I went ahead and just sat back with my 4 years of inactive reserve, relocated to Texas, and kind of stayed in the photography and journalism field as a civilian after that. But, I look back on that, and obviously, we'll get to it later. I spent a lot of years as a mother because I kept having them things. But you have no idea.
They think you'd figure out how that happened.
I like how it happened. I'm a sailor. Good Lord. But anyway, but seriously, she was amazing, and I couldn't see leaving her, because in that situation in the early 90s, if you had a child in service and both of you were going to be deployed, if you didn't have a home, a stable back home, and I didn't have a home to send my kid back to, so they wanted me to sign her to the state while I went on deployment, and I'm like, hell to the no. And so that that I didn't want to leave the service when I did, but I just made a family choice for my daughter, and I'm very glad that I did that. I enjoyed still a great life of photojournalism in the outside world, and I was able to take all my experiences with service with me.
And as far as your love for the outdoors, does that just come from growing up in Tennessee in that area?
Lifetime. My grandfather, and my uncle fished back in the day. It was called the Redman series.
Oh yeah.
This was pre-FLW, which was pre-MLF. And now that I compete in MLF, it really feels so
actually wasn't
solid.
The Redman was the FLW. It was their first.
A lot of people don't understand that. Like what the MLF is now, that was the Redman back then. So, generationally for me, on my father's side, it was Navy, and on my mother's side, it was fishing. So I'm just a crazy Navy veteran fishing fool.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. And especially growing up in that neck of the woods of the U.S., from that is such a beautiful area. The Romans Warrior Foundation that I work with, they're based out of Murfreesboro, Alabama. Yeah, that's their headquarters. They just moved down there.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee is where I graduated high school. I thought you were about to say
not Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Murfreesboro, Tennessee, though, is we have a lot of connections there with our Stop 22 tours. So yeah, we've been there as well.
Well, that lake right there, that goes across Rutherford County, Piercy Priest Lake. That's the lake I grew up running. That lake,
Nice.
Running the banks till I could do something different.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a beautiful, beautiful area.
Oh, yeah.
We've been down there a couple times, flew in there once, drove in there a couple times, and it's a beautiful section of the country for sure. So yeah, that makes sense that that you carried on here. Your company that you currently own, I'm looking at your resume, and good night.
It's crazy.
You're pretty busy. You keep yourself moving there. But the one we were looking at here is Champions Outdoors. Talk to me about what Champions Outdoors is. This is your outdoor yak shop, or what is this?
It's our kayak shop. It's our educational facilities. It's our youth outreach. It's our veteran service connection organization. It's pretty much all of the things of me. So everyone's born a certain type of way, and I don't know if you picked up on it yet, but I was born with a whole lot of energy. This is natural. I haven't even finished my cup of coffee. My phone's setting up on it. So I was born with a stupid amount of energy, and I thought over time it would come down, but it has not. So what I've learned to do with that as a mother, I didn't leak it out yet, but I have 6 children by birth. And so, being a stay-at-home mom and running my photography, my journalism out of home at 2 a.m. when the kids weren't sleeping, or maybe, or were sleeping, or with babies, up overnight, I kind of just adjusted that lifestyle around that. So my hands were always juggling, and my kids were in sports, and I coached their teams, and I did all of those things in my life when it was motherhood time. So I think that gave me a good juggling set. And then as the kids kind of grew up, I've got 4 that are adults now and just 2 at home. As a mother, you're holding a half a dozen balloons, and now you've got 2 left, and the rest of them are floating away, and you're like, wait, what? You want to grab those, but they're good actually. So you just hope they don't land in the ocean and kill a turtle, and then you're back to here holding on to the 2, right? I'll be here all day. So I really had to decide for myself, what was I going to do with all this extra energy, because my kids filled that space and then they weren't filling that space anymore. So Champions Outdoors kind of developed out of that empty nester with still some at home, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
I started the homeschool journey about 10 years ago, and my now 18-year-old, when he was 11, he said, Mom, none of these kids, because we're outdoors family, and we're in a generation of not outdoors family.
Yeah.
So we'd go to these co-ops or whatever, and none of these kids fish. They weren't outdoorsy. So my kids kind of were feeling like a little bit of outsiders, and we're certainly out of the box family. By no means are we normal, but still my son at 11 years old felt odd that none of these little boys wanted to do anything besides play on their phones. So we said, this is tackle boxes over X boxes. We're going to charge in. And we started kind of a family health and wellness bit with Champions Outdoors. I had started paddling. I think at the time I had a Pelican sit in 8 foot. It was lovely orange faded seats. It was a hand me down. It was fantastic.
Nice.
So we just kind of would bring it and kind of encourage kids to be fishing or playing around, and I'd be out on the water with my kayak, and we saw that it was creating a space. So as I was doing this, I was losing weight. I had weighed like 250 pounds. I was like size 20. It was not cute. And I'm like, this is not, at the time I'm, in my early 40s, and it's not the life I wanted for myself. So Champions Outdoors started as health and wellness, and then we were delivering education to the homeschool community. And then I took that little orange kayak as I was going into some freedoms from divorce, and thought I'd go fish in a redfish tournament, because, why not? I learned how to use a lure. Get out of my way. So I've been fishing for my whole life, so I think I got this, right? So I go out there and I fish this local club tournament, and at the time I didn't know that was not the best place you want to be if you want to do a career with this business. But so I'm out here in the local club with like 30 guys from the town, and my favorite little place that I've always fished but never competed. And I roll up in there and I get the heaviest redfish, right? And my sit-in Pelican.
Oh yeah.
On the Gulf, on a popping cork, right? So again, this was you couldn't tell me nothing moment. I'm rolling in there. Then they don't even have a side pot for heaviest redfish, and I'm like, what?
Oh man.
Yeah. So, but they actually ended up creating a space for that. Now there's a whole, you can want a kayak or all these different things now. But at that time, this was in 2016. I thought, man, I like this.
Right.
And then the next year, Bill Bragman had kind of took me in, and he had given me a Viking, and I had previously purchased a Jackson Kraken, and he was like, oh, that's too heavy. You need to come see. You got to come down to Yak here in Houston. You got to see, because he knew what I was doing with the kids fishing, and he was just really keen to kind of help me with a way to keep going. He knew we had gone through some losses and things and some challenges, so he put me in my first Viking reload. And then I went and started trail fishing, and that's when I found out you could just put your money up. I didn't know. I thought you had to be sponsored. I didn't know you could just go do these things.
Yeah, pay to play.
I've been stuck in motherhood for 20 years. I had no idea what was going on out here in the real world.
Right.
Yeah. But KBF was my first bass trail, and this was so funny because it was an immediate military connection, like instant. Sure. I rolled over to my first bass event in Louisiana in 2017. And Chad Hoover was, officiating that. And I didn't know who Chad Hoover was. And I had no idea. I'm just BSing with him when he said he was in the Navy. And we found out we were stationed at the exact same duty station. I was the photographer for his air division we were both at Naval Air Station Norfolk. I was servicing for the Red Wolves. That was his attached unit. Crazy. Hang out the same places, but we never met each other. That we remember. We were very young back then. But that was to me just another immediate connection, another sign that I was where I was supposed to be,
Sure.
And so I just continued. I loved the competing, not because I was, breaking records. There was I came in middle of the pack, but I'd never done it before. I was like, man, this is cool. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Well, and it's one of the things that I maintain quite a bit that I try to let people know is that it's not by coincidence that there are so many active military and veterans involved in outdoor activities. And thank goodness for the most recent, probably the last 3 to 5 years, the medical studies and the science, behind the physiological and mental benefits that come from being involved in the outdoors. And they're even, digging into specifically fishing.
Yes,
of
definitely.
What it does for you, is a positive impact, and it can absolutely replace the need for other things that are out there, and I don't like getting in the realm of calling things alternative therapies and this and that. No, what I'm saying is, as opposed to, say, a bag of opioids,
Yes.
it is very possible that if you got yourself, if you have an addictive personality, get addicted to fishing, man. Come on
Absolutely.
out and go chase
1,000%.
these fish, and yes,
And they'll be the best one.
and spend a ridiculous amount of money on fishing gear like the rest of us,
Yeah.
Be embarrassed to say how much you've got in crankbaits, that you never throw.
Gotta have them though.
Exactly. Because, you get that FOMO.
No, the healing to self.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it's something that's isolated, but it's also full on family camaraderie. It's both. You get both.
100%.
And I don't think any of us, male or female, with men, it's usually because they're overworked, and when it's women, it's usually because they're overmothered. And that's not always the case, but often it is when you find people, especially our age, that a break for me, the freedom to get on this thing and go do it, the accomplishment of when I do it, all of these things, the physical benefit, you're getting more oxygen and air into your brain because you're the physical element. Like, you're covering all the things that are written down in a medical journal of what you should do to attain maximum health. You're doing all of that in the sport of kayak fishing.
100. And the other piece is, you find yourself all of a sudden where the outside voices in the outside world just starts to fade away. And what is replaced by it is the sound of water, the sound of birds, the sound of just nature itself replaces that. And before you know it, you're so focused on that stupid little fish under the water that keeps outthinking you. And he's got the brain the size of a pea, right? And somehow you can't figure him out, or you do figure him out. And you have that.
Yeah.
And the point is, like when we take folks out, and we take these, some of the combat vets as well, what you find out real quick is that, hey man, don't look now, but for the last 30 to an hour, the only thing you're focused on was that bait, this water, and that fishing.
It engages you to be in the moment. You have to be in the moment.
Totally. And it provides that clarity, and it gives, I always said this, so I'm not a veteran. It's a different Oprah story, but I actually did serve a small stint, technically not a veteran. There was an erroneous enlistment. I was part of the Bill Clinton shutdown and cuts in the early 90s, like right before you went in. Yeah. I was in and got sent home from the chop when they were shutting all the Navy bases down. Okay. So I was actually San Diego RTC is where I went.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So when you said Orlando, it's like, that's the only co-ed base I remember was Orlando. Yeah. Yeah. Ours was not. No, ours was, we were highly separated and surrounded by Marines. So
hey, I would say that sounded a lot like my military career, but we're keeping it to. Or leave it in, it's whatever.
I love it. There are some common denominators, male, female, doesn't matter. If you're a vet, there's a common denominator that's the humor, and I love it. It's 100% there. But no, the point is that over the course of my life, I've got my own share of civilians ups and downs in life, things that threw at me. And it was was not by just a happenstance that I did my best thinking on the water, on the deck of my boat. For many years before I got into kayaks, it was from the deck of my bass boat, and things just made sense out there. It doesn't matter what it is. It didn't matter where, what was going on. If I could get on my boat, if I could get out on the water, even with that 250 screaming behind me, that was still peaceful to me.
Well, what I think it is. I think if you just think about, even if you're sitting still on the water, you're already at your space. All of the brain activity and the different levels you're going into thinking on your process of trying to attract a bass to the boat. There's a lot going on. So you're filling a bunch of space. There's not room for the intrusive thoughts. There's not room for that stuff to come in there. So you start receiving the peace and enjoying that. And I believe that when you're coming away from that, your brain is so clear, only the good stuff comes in first.
Right.
And I try to make a really good habit. I have so many pads and journals and scribbles and scrabbles everywhere. Because when I come off, I know that first hour where I'm coming back into my crazy, this brain goes as fast as my mouth goes. So when I'm coming out of that, I know the best stuff is when I'm coming out from a clear mind.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You surround yourself with positive things things manifest, right? You surround yourself with negative shit manifests.
You ain't lying.
That's just the universe around us. It's not a belief factor. It's just the way things work, man.
It's just, if we breathe air, we really create our problems. I I don't know if it was my husband or my 15-year-old daughter. Well, she just turned 16 yesterday. But very recently, we traveled to Tennessee, and I had a lot of time in the vehicle and alone and dealing with life, because you have to deal with it right now in the moment. And I remember saying that sometimes I feel like I'll just make myself distracted so I don't have to deal with the situation. And there's not much better way to do that than putting a rod and reel in your hand. So I think on both times, if you're out fishing, it's okay. No one's going to bother you because they know you're out on the water, right?
Yeah.
But in another situation, if I'm in the office, if I'm in the kitchen, if I'm in the bathroom, they're still going to bother me. So I also think it's that that time when it's acceptable to not be bothered, right? Like, oh,
mom.
but if they know I'm fishing, they don't mess with me. So I do think that there's a little more of a guilt-free detachment, that you can, okay, no, I'm supposed to be unbothered right now. I'm supposed to be in a place of no one being able to reach me. So I think that, sometimes we just have to be admitted. Sometimes I do it for avoidance, but that's okay.
No, I got you. And it's a great deal. I wanted to show real quick the website here of Champions.
Yeah.
Let me put that up on the screen here. And I'm just going to highlight just that. So what I'm looking at here, we've got your Kids to Fish. That's your Archers and Anglers program, the Real Girls. Yep. Talk to us real quick about some of these programs.
Yeah.
Just give us kind of
as we developed with Champions Outdoors, I eventually, ran a kayak shop for a local company, kind of got on levels, did a team stint with Jackson Kayak for several years, started representing Viking at a higher level till I became, now we distribute kayaks, we sell kayaks, we rent kayaks, we demo kayaks. So as we built that, we tried to find in ways to, where can we create space for the kids? Where can we create space for the women? And so that's what this is. So when we have an event coming up, what we want to focus on, is this a woman's event? Then that's going to fall under Real Girls. If it's a kid or youth event, whether it's the archery, which we do the archery and the fishing with Texas Parks and Wildlife, we've been with them for 7 years now. So that's they can click on that link and it'll take them directly to that group, so that they don't have to, filter through, because we do have a lot going on. So, it helps us categorize as Champions Outdoors continues to grow and add legs. You can go to, from Champions Outdoors, you can get to our Real Girls for any of our women events or women encouragement. Same with our youth events. And those are the tabs that will take you to those places. And then, so my youngest son, my 10-year-old, struggles a lot with life, and his little brain doesn't work like the rest of them. And so we have made a mission to create space for kids on the autism spectrum too. If you notice, there's a spot down there where you can book a trip with us for autism. Now this is Autism Anglers out of Florida. That will take you directly to national support for autism anglers. And then if someone in our area wants to book a trip, we take kids with autism out for free, and that's up on about the middle of our page. You can see the little links.
I'm looking here
somewhere up there, right there on the end, right there with the little boy. Go down a little bit, right underneath that one. There you go. So that's a zero charge trip. Back up.
Back up. Oh, yep, right here. Right there. Here we go.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. So we do guided trips. We have a charter boat and a charter captain here on site. And then myself, I'm a kayak guide. And then if someone has a family member, especially particularly a youth on the spectrum, right, they click right there and they'd be able to book a free trip with us. So we really try to create space. Having spare money when you're raising a kid on the spectrum is probably not likely unless you were born into financial privilege.
No kidding.
You can't live the same life. You got to live a different life, which usually requires you to be with your child as often as you can. Nick's not been too far away from me unless he's with his dad. So
right.
It gives us another space though, because there is a lot of space created for autism in the fishing community. So we've been blessed to be able to take advantage of that, and then also share our resources. And that's a big thing. I'm a share my resources kind of girl. If I got one, then we're going to split it, as many ways as we need to. If I've got 10, we're going to 10 times it. And I just have found a lot of value in sharing as we've gone along the way with this thing.
That is just fantastic, awesome stuff. I mean, it's another one of the common denominators is just the continued service to others.
We don't stop serving.
No. And it is one of the reasons why that, as I learned more and got more involved, like your story that you talked about the Purple Heart recipients, the very first, back before I had started my nonprofit, I was just volunteering at different nonprofits. And one of the first ones, the life changer for us, was the Warrior Bonfire Program. Purple Heart recipient combat vets. I had an opportunity to go to Vienna, Missouri and share space with these 6 individuals that, larger than life to me, just amazing human beings, all Purple Heart combat vets. And spent, several days down there on a private lake at a private lodge. and basically opened up my boat and my gear and just shared my love for bass fishing with these guys. And it changed everything, and within literally a few hours of being home, we had a new name for our organization. It's where the name of the True Patriot Outfitters came from, because one of the guys, a Bradley commander there out of Louisiana, basically had called us that as a true patriot. He said, "You may not be a veteran, but in my book, you're a true patriot and you're a civilian worth fighting for." And I got to tell you, next to the title of Dad, that took a good solid second. It used to be Coach was my second. Now Coach is third. Being called that from those guys, it changed our course, and what we found, as our purpose. And so this is so cool, seeing all these other areas. And one of the other areas that we were going to do, because I'm gonna fire this up I have a 25-year-old daughter. And it's always been, a very important piece to me that she have the same opportunities as anybody else that goes out and busts their butt as hard as she does. I don't want to ever see anything step in her way, for that. So it is so cool to me when I see I'm 51 too, so I'm from a different generation, but it's lady anglers, seeing female competitors out there. I'll be honest with you. There is zero reason that there shouldn't be more in the ranks, because there's nothing.
I know why there's not more, but I agree with you.
It's the good old boy network, probably more than anything.
I don't think it's the good old boy network, honestly. Because I do compete. I've been competing for 7 years, and I've competed against some of the best females in this industry. And I've also spent time with some women that I thought to myself, "You're the reason why we're not ever going to make it anywhere." But the reality is, probably just until the last 5 years, and I will give much credit to Christine for this. But there was just a stigma that you were either like the model, so you fit the model category, or you were somewhere in a back room, on a computer or something like that. There wasn't actually a lane for us. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I remember early in Christine's career, we were talking, she's like, "I don't want to be recognized as a woman. I just want to be out here as an angler." And what was so powerful about that is she maintained that you saw women starting to come out and start feeling confident to compete. And then I see the same thing in Major League Fishing over in the boat world. There's not a lot of sex sales in MLF. They're just not doing it. And perfect example, Matt Robertson. There's no sex selling Matt Robertson. That's just real, true, blue collar, backwoods. This little boy wants to do something with fishing. And I think as long as people like that are genuine get to have a space, and we continue to create space for women fully clothed. I talked to a lot of the ladies at AgCast this year at the women's meetup. We're responsible for that, to fish appropriately, so that we can have a lane. And there's no shade on the models. The models are beautiful, and there is a path for them. But
I'll throw shade at the models. I'm so sick and tired of seeing redfish or sailfish being held up by a bikini. It's like, shut up. Look, I'm a male too, okay? I don't mind eye candy, but not in fishing. Get it out of there. It's just like,
and if we're going to do it, let's do it both ways. Can we get something like, what are we looking at? I'm just teasing.
Trust me, I don't know. I don't think you want to see any of these guys that I know. No, there ain't no Chippendales. It's more like
my husband's in the background. He said he'll jump up in a Speedo.
Yeah, no. You see guys in the fishing industry doing this, it's going to be like the Chips Ahoy dancers, okay? That's about all you're going to see.
Hey, Chunky Duncan, baby.
Exactly.
No, but really, I think for me, and I just recognize that there is a lane for models, and it's not my lane. And I deserve more than being in the back room to my own credibility. I've got some value out here. So I think as long as those of us that have a lane, that we stay in it, and we really promote what we're trying to promote and resist skin selling. And I think that's what it's going to take to keep growing it. And it's definitely going that direction. That Bassmaster article that just came out was amazing. And it was almost spot on where the drive should be going for women in fishing.
And it's one of the areas that I do appreciate kayak fishing so much too, because I'm going to say it. I don't mind. I'm not trying to be controversial, whatever. And I love my bass boat buddies. I love my bass boat world that I used to live in. But on the kayak side, I just think there's a slightly more forward thinking mentality that might be there. and it's extremely friendly. There isn't the amount of pressure. And maybe that changes as the dollars come up in our sport. I don't know. But
I think you're just going to have that 10% anywhere you go with anything you do, and you focus on the 90% good. And I think the kayak industry is for sure 90+% good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very welcoming. It's very open. And I love the even ground for everything.
Absolutely.
So that's some good. Well, when I do the interview series of female anglers in our sport, I'm going to have you come back for that one too, if that's okay. And we can focus more heavily on that piece there.
Yeah, and we can talk about either side. I love competing in MLF, actually better than I like kayak tournaments, and it's because I just show up. For me, it's where I don't have to do anything.
Oh, because on the co-angler side, right.
I show up. They tell me whose boat to get on. My husband says, "Bye. She's your problem for the next 8 hours."
I'll tell you, it was one of the things that I really, truly did enjoy about coming to kayak is that because when I was a boater, I took it as my responsibility. Not all boaters think this, but I took it as my responsibility to get that co-angler on fish.
For sure. It's one of the things that keeps me from going over. I don't want to be responsible for someone else's experience.
And I know there's a lot of guys out there that are like, no, man, I got my money invested. I'm here to get mine. Okay. And I know a lot of those people. Yeah. And that just was never I was like, no, I can't do that.
It's a lot of pressure.
I want to make sure that, this co-angler, because I spent several years as a co-angler. So this co-angler is expecting me to put them on, good, that I've done my homework. I've had
outstanding boater experiences. Every boater I have had has kind of honestly shared your mentality. I've had some great boaters. A lot of my boaters fish also in Toyota series, and it's been nothing but a really great experience for me. But that's pressure that you're talking about, it's non-existent to the co-angler. I just have to make sure I don't get in his way, and if I need to get the net, and don't knock the fish off his hook.
Yeah. No, that's truly where it's at. I've had a lot of co-anglers do really, really well from the back of the boat, and I sucked it up that day, for whatever reason. And
I've outfished a few of my boaters.
Yep. It happens. And I'm usually what's kind of funny though, is that before it hits me when I get back to weigh in, and I'm like, son of a, did I just really do that today? But during the moment, I'm so freaking excited for them, when they're hammered on fish. It's like, cause I love the sport. And I love watching people catch, and it's good stuff, but
it is good stuff.
No, the kayak side for sure. I enjoy it. It's like, nope, I'm taking care of myself. I'm getting myself ready.
But it's a lot of work. It's so much work.
It is, but I embrace the grind. I love that side of it. This year's going to be weird.
I call it my cheat day when I go out on a BFL, because I'm throwing up $100 for an 8-hour guided trip. Let me get that next kayak event.
Well, and not for nothing, you're doing it in Texas to boot, which look,
last year I did it in Florida. I did the Gator division, and I got my ass handed to me. I had to come back to Texas where I could whoop somebody. But I'm telling you what, here's the thing. 15 pounds will get you a good old check over here in Texas. 15 pounds ain't going to get you in the top 100 in Florida. Them boys are coming in with 30-pound sacks in the top 20.
On the co-angler side.
It's stupid.
Florida strain bass.
Dude, them Florida bass, man, that ain't nothing to play with. But I got my personal best this past summer, and I got my Florida, I'm on the Florida Lunker page or whatever. Got my little sticker and my little gift card. I'm in the drawing for the free truck and boat or whatever. So
good stuff.
That was awesome.
Well, this is awesome. Folks at home, make sure you go check out Champions Outdoors Facebook. Give them a follow out there. Make sure you're there. Go check out the website. See the different programs they have going. If you're in that neck of the woods down there, go hit Jenn and the team up over there and get yourself a trip booked in there. I know that there was a short period that I had a Blue Sky 360. When I first started getting rolling, I'm wearing the
wrong clothes to say what I'm about to say, but
no, it's okay.
That's baby.
Yeah, I hear you. It was the closest thing that I found. It's like, what's going to be the closest to my bass boat? And it was that rig. The problem was, it's like, okay, how do I get 4 of those on site, non-location? Is like without a semi. Jesus.
No, you can. I'm going to have to send you some pictures of us double, triple stacking them babies. Let me tell you what, we did it.
Wow.
It's still my number one rental. I don't know if you know the fleets that we have. That's still our number one rental. That's the one everybody wants to take out, man.
It is a ton of fun. I love that even my big balloon butt, at 250, I can stand on a
it's
tune.
the fat boy boat.
Yeah, it doesn't move. It was awesome. We just sold it last season. We got a chance to get it sold, and of course, 2 years ago I had joined up with New Canoe, and that the Unlimited is such an amazing.
Yeah, there's so many great platforms out there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Gets the job done. Keeps people on them.
I didn't want to leave without letting you know. It's not a secret because it released here this past fall, just after ICAST. But we do have a little TV show out now.
You do?
We do. It just came out on America's Boating Channel, and then it'll be on the Pursuit Channel this spring. And it is called Jenn, Nolan Fishing, Raised Like This. And Adam J, who's the freestyle fisherman.
I know exactly who Adam J is.
So he wrote the song for our show last year. We did a lot of work on the road, a lot of filming in Florida. So there'll be a lot of that content releasing here in the next series. And then we'll have a really nice Rockport Corpus Christi season to follow that. So some good stuff.
So Jenn Nolan Fishing, it's going to be on what platform?
Right now it's out on America's Boating Channel, and then it will be going over and it'll be riding simultaneously on the Pursuit Channel as well coming up this spring.
All right. So go check that out there. That's
a lot of cool mom content. So to sit here at my age, having kids, still having kids at home, and I will tell you, this is not something you can be like, yeah, I know how you feel. You just don't give yourself a life. And, for me, as much as I'm serving community, I serve myself a lot when I go kayak fishing. And I don't mean that to be arrogant. I hope anyone watching this who really needs to give themselves a break, mamas, it's okay to take a break. Even for 8 hours, it really is.
Hey man, I used to
feel guilty about it, but I don't anymore.
You can't, save someone from drowning if you yourself are drowning.
Correct.
You got to take care of your own health first.
I've never drowned on a kayak.
That's right. For sure.
So do that and give yourself some time, and we hope Jenn Nolan Fishing does that. Lets people just see how to enjoy life. We're using that as a reminder ourselves to live in the moment, and it's really just sharing how I do this and bring motherhood along. I've been homeschooling for 10 years, so oftentimes my kids are on the road with me when I'm doing all this crazy stuff, and it's a challenge because you don't see them, so you don't realize I'm juggling motherhood back here while I'm trying to juggle a life for myself.
No kidding.
And so check that out.
And you don't get it done without that support system, right? I mean, that's such a key thing. And it's one of the hardest things in the veteran community is accepting the fact that isn't a sign of weakness getting help. All right. But that's a sign of intelligence when you do get help.
Yeah. And I would really feel like that it's a true statement to say, I feel like my veteran organizations is where I feel the safest to be okay with those feelings. I think those are considered weaknesses everywhere else. But, the longstanding support in the veteran community, whether it was service related, self-related, family related, child related, any of those feelings that you go through, they're recognized there, and there's always great support for that. And that's one of my favorite things about giving the service back is knowing that everyone goes through these things, and they're a reminder to take time for self, and it's easy to do that and aid in that when we show up with the kayaks and the fishing gear, and all they got to do is get on and go.
That is so cool. Well, I'm hoping to get a chance to get down there to your neck of the woods and have a chance to meet you, face to face. It's such a beautiful area of the country. I've not had a chance to get that far south just yet, but redfish is something I would absolutely love to get on. It's a bucket list item. I've never been, so it would be super cool to get down there with you guys.
Well, all you got to do is get here. They're our specialty, and we work with a lot of groups down here. We would be more than happy to host you and put you up in a hotel. So if you can get here, we get you on them.
That'd be awesome. Good stuff. Folks, make sure to check out Champions Outdoors. Like we said, follow on Facebook. Check out the website there. Go through that whole piece. Jenn, from all of us here at the TPO, to you and your entire family, thank you for your service.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for everything you have done to allow goofballs like me to go out and do what we're doing. We appreciate it.
I'm just another goofball, buddy.
Stick around with me after we roll this out. Folks at home, don't forget, smash that subscribe YouTube. That is the number one way you can help us. I know other nonprofits will tell you donations. Sure, donations are awesome. But you know what? We're in a rough time here right now, but it doesn't cost you a dime or anything. You go hit and smack that subscribe button for us on YouTube. Paddle and Fin Podcast Network has given us this platform. Hit it here also at the True Patriot Outfitters. Go hit up Champions Outdoors, Jenn Nolan Fishing on YouTube. hit these areas. It doesn't take much, man. It's a super awesome
Check it out.
way.
I'm sitting right in the shop too. Lovely.
Love it. Dream job right there. I'll tell you, if I had an angel investor, we'd have a new canoe shop right here in the metro area. I promise you.
Hey, you got manifest. We're manifesting it right now.
That's right. That's right.
Come on, new canoe. Daddy needs you.
Thank you, Jen. And we're looking forward to the next time we have you on here.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, folks at home. Couldn't do it without you. Tight lines. Be safe. Folks, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as we did. Jen is just a firecracker, man. She is so full of energy, a ton of fun. I would love to get a chance to get down there and go fishing with Champions Outdoors and hang out with Jen and the crew down there and see how they're doing. We're hoping we can put something like that together eventually here. Man, we have another interview coming up. Speaking of cool times and having a good time here, end of April, there is a heck of a deal that the Paddle and Fin is putting on. Check this out. April 27th, April 28th, $100 gets you in Dale Hollow, the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network tournament being hosted down there. Man, there's some awesome lodging options there on houseboats that you got to reach out down there and get this set up. What an very, very cool. You know, when Paddle and Fin puts something together, it's a class act, and they've been doing it for several years. Dale Hollow, man, bucket list location. If you're anywhere in the area or feeling like a little drive, want to go check out Dale Hollow, that is the place to be. It's on Tourney X right now. Go get registered up. Again, April 27th, 28th, $100. You in. You're going to have a blast. Hang out, get to see some people, and of course, check out Dale Hollow. Speaking of killer locations, this year's 2024 schedule for the All-American Kayak Series has some big fish factories that are going to be playing host to the All-American Kayak Series. We open it up with Lake of the Ozarks first thing in April. Of course, we have the Classic, one of the Midwest's largest actually events in the entire U.S. for kayak fishing each year. It ranks up there. And then just a laundry list. Check out a little word from those guys real fast here. 2024 schedule is gonna be fire, y'all. You got time to get signed up. Go check it out. Tourney X, All-American Kayak Series. Go to the allamericankayakseries.com. Check out on socials at All-American Kayak Series. Don't miss this, man. These are, for the Midwest anglers out there, this is a chance to go fish and compete against some of the nation's best anglers without having to drive 18, 19, 20 hours, man. The All-American is dedicated to going to some great fisheries and tons of money. Payouts as good as they get when it comes to this sort of thing. And so, yeah, you don't want to miss that. Again, reminder, folks, this is not live. We are pre-recorded through this show here. Next up in our interview series, Mr. Mike Unruh. Mike Unruh, he is out of the Missouri area, United States, a veteran, dedicated. He and his family have given so much, and they continue to give every day. This was an honor to sit down with this man and learn his story, learn about the things he's involved in with fishing, and of course, giving back to sections of his community. And again, don't forget, stick around to the end of the podcast here. We're going to share a discount code for Battleborn Tackle that you can go check out. Go check them out, man. In between here, www.battleborntackle.com. TPO.com, and you're going to see what I'm saying when it comes to the awesome prices, the free shipping, and so forth. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and roll ourselves into the interview with Mr. Mike Unruh. Enjoy. Next in our list here, we have a gentleman here that he is involved. I'm looking at this resume here, and good night. This man stays busy. But the one that we were going to talk that actually brought me to him was his work with the Fallen Outdoors. So let's go ahead and bring in Mike to the show. Mike, how in the heck are you, sir?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
So help me pronounce the last name. Unruh, is that right?
It's close. I've been called many things. The correct pronunciation is Unruh.
Unruh, got it.
German for unruly, but I'm actually a real nice guy. So.
Well, you noticed I introduced you as Mike because it's like, I bet you there's something else to this, and I'm not going to mess it up on air.
Like I said, I spent my time as a criminal investigator in the military. I've been called many things. So, Unruh. We're good.
Unruh, got it. That's perfect. So yeah, man, what I was just telling people, you're involved in a lot of stuff, brother. You keep yourself super busy in everything related to the outdoors and then some. But let's start with the top of the list and just start working our way down here, right? You are the vice president of the Fallen Outdoors. This is a nonprofit organization that is a good size organization. You guys look like you have a national reach. Is that right?
Yeah, we're actually almost in every state now. We catered over 200 veterans on a year, providing free of charge therapeutic outdoor adventures.
That is outstanding, brother. Birds of a feather. We end up just somehow. There's a lot of us out there in the need. That's the thing I tell people when they say, "Well, so you're an organization." Well, yeah, I know this other organization that does the same thing, and I always respond with them. And we need every last one of us. Trust me.
Absolutely. There's a resource. Yep.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So that's very cool. So talk to me about the Fallen Outdoors. When did that first to spark up, and what's its lineage?
So in 2009, our founder, Eric Bakken from Washington State, was deployed to Afghanistan. Him and a couple of buddies were actually, on a mountaintop in Afghanistan, kind of how the thought of the Fallen Outdoors came together. The name wasn't even established. This something they thought about, said, hey, when we get out of this nasty hellhole, let's create something that gives back to our veterans. We all love to hunt and fish, and they really like to duck hunt. So they're like, let's do something that gives back to those and hunt and fish. And so, hey, let's create this organization. And unfortunately, only one of those people came back from Afghanistan. And that became his power was, I'm doing this now just for my fallen brothers.
100, man.
At 2009, it was established. 2015, we were actually a certified 501c3 through IRS. And, the process is just, it became a kind of a click for people to join and hunt and fish together and get each other out and enjoy the outdoors and the camaraderie. And it just blossomed from 2015 to now, where we have teams in almost every single state. We catered over 200,000 on an annual basis. We have 780 something pro staff that volunteer their time. Nobody makes a dime. They volunteer their services to help show each other the great outdoors and healing power and provide that camaraderie through the outdoors.
You just said something, hit the nail right on the head, man. It's hard to convey this message to civilians and such, but being a civilian myself, it's a little easier for me to be that liaison, right? See, as I'm not a U.S. veteran, I understand my place in this process. So when I founded the TPO, that was a big deal for us, is expressing to these people, you understand the healing benefits that come with this. Yeah. That this is far beyond. I'm not going to sit here and boohoo story it, because none of us want a boohoo story, right? Yeah. Especially not our nation's warfighters. That's the last damn thing they want. But the point is the amount of healing that comes out of just the engagement with the outdoors, man, it's medically supported, it's documented, it's there. And what better way to deliver that, as opposed to a bag of opioids or sitting with six different, VA counselors, over the course of 2 years. type thing. It's like, no, we can take care of each other, man. And with people supporting the fallen outdoors, people supporting other organizations like that. That's how we get it done. That's awesome stuff, brother.
Absolutely. That number 22, is a number that's been thrown out there for the last few years, that 22 veterans take their own life on a daily basis. In the recent studies, it's shown that the number is way higher than that. But, through the power of the outdoors, that connection, hope, and healing is what it's all about.
I did some dive in. I'm a big guy on stats and data, right? That's kind of my background. I'm a big science guy inside my head. So before I really start going too far, I want to see some information. Numbers don't lie. And the lineage of the Stop 22, the short version of that story is the first study that was put together, they come up with that 22 number, and they let those findings be known really quick. And a few very smart people jumped on top of this and said, Stop 22. That's where we need to go with this, right? We're going to take this and move it. Well, when they started actually doing further research on this, just what you said, the number actually in most of those studies was way higher than that. Yeah. And there were a couple times when it dipped beneath it with what data they got a hold of. But there's this fluctuating number here. And the bottom line is what we settled on, like with the Romans were our Stop 22 tour, what we settled on was, don't care if it's one. That's until there are none, we're not going to stop, and that's the point of this is that, regardless of where that number hits, Stop 22 was just the tagline that everybody got behind. The bottom line is we're going to keep working on this until that number's zero.
Absolutely.
And so that's important stuff, man. Yeah, it was an interesting deal to see what they did with that. And I'm like, you can say Stop 19, Stop 300, whatever. It doesn't matter. The mission remains, Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. So talk to me a little bit about your service here. You are retired from the United States Army. When did you serve, sir?
So I actually joined, I left for basic training about 10 days after high school, 2001. And, during my time in basic training in AIT, the tragic events of 9/11 happened. And that's kind of the period where it separated those who signed up for college, because that's what the military used to be all about, and those who actually signed up to do service to their country.
Yes, sir.
So fortunate for me that I wasn't one that graduated, AIT or advanced individual training and was sent directly downrange. I didn't first deploy until 2004. So I got some downtime, but during that time from late 01 to 04, it was all field training. We knew we were going, just tell us when.
Right.
So, yeah. And my first deployment was to Iraq in 2004 to 2005. Got back from that, and I was a military police officer by trade. Always loved the military police aspect, always loved law enforcement, and I was a prior law enforcement explorer while I was in high school. And I figured that since I'm 18, you got to be 21 to be a cop. What should I do with those 4 short years?
Right.
Joined the military, and then it was easy to me. The mental aspect was easy, the physical training was easy, and the mission was what I loved. And so I just stuck it out. 20 years later, here I am, full beard, full hair, and full mental health. Thank God.
That's awesome. 20 years you served.
Yes, sir.
That is awesome. From all of us, before we go any further, from all of us at the Romans Warrior Foundation, from all of us at TPO, my volunteers, everybody around us, I just personally also, in addition to that, want to thank you for your service, for your family service, to allow goofballs like me to come out and do the things that I love to do.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate everything you've done, and you are the motivation for us out here 100%. So thank you very much, man.
Thank you very much.
You bet. So cool, man. So you do your 20, you're U.S. Army retired. When did your love for the outdoors begin? My guess is childhood. You grew up around it. Yeah. Are you a native of Missouri? Because that's where you're at right now.
Yep. No, I retired out here in Missouri. Was here since 2015. I'm born and raised Central Kansas.
Okay. Not too far away.
Yeah, no, not too far away. 6-hour drive from my hometown. And I have a 16-year-old son who lives there.
Nice.
But, I grew up on hunting pheasant, quail in western Kansas from the age of like 8 with my grandpa. And that's when I really developed a passion for the outdoors.
Wow.
My parents separated at an early age. So I'd go live with my mom in the summers of Arkansas. And, you know, when she was working, I was old enough, I guess you could say. Nowadays, you wouldn't call that old enough. But back then, I was old enough to be on my own. And, you know, I'd be in the holler shooting squirrels with a pellet gun, catching fish, throwing them in a bucket, hanging on vines, swinging in the hollers. And so my thing was I loved the outdoors and I lived it. And it just never stopped. So,
yeah. Dude, my brother and I, he's like 7 years older than me, but so my big brother, he always had that Crossman 760 pump master, right? Pellet rifle. And I had that Daisy spring loader. Dude, if it moved, we shot at it. You know, I mean, from grasshoppers to birds, you name it. I mean, I would, you know, try to teach my kids a little better today on the conservation side of things, but grasshoppers and stuff, now go for it, blast them. But yeah, man, we would, I mean, one of the things we would do as kids, this is an obscure random thing, but it's just that outdoors aspect. Living in Florida for a few years, we'd shoot those stupid grasshoppers and then we'd take them to the fire ant hills and drop the carcass on the fire ant hill. Yeah. To literally watch what they did to it. And I'll be honest with you, man, that taught me more than just about any science class, was just living that life, being out there, seeing it unfold in front of you, man. That's a cool deal.
Yep. Yeah. And all my friends and even my brother, my dad, anytime we went fishing, you know, I was the one that caught all the fish and got the ice cream cone at the end of the day. And then eventually my brother's like, I'm not fishing with you guys no more. I can't even keep up. So my brother quit hunting and fishing with me, you know, at a decently young age. And he's 4 years older than me. And he's slowly seeing all my stuff. And he's like, man, maybe I do, you know, want to get back into the outdoors. And so we were talking just this summer about, you know, getting him a deer rifle and getting him into deer hunting. So he thinks that's pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So would you call yourself a bass angler or just an angler in general? You go after everything.
Yeah, I mean, I do a little bit of everything. You know, I love chasing crappie. I'm a big kayak angler. Through my organization, we have a kayak series we run too that kind of is a nationwide series. Nice. Spoonbill here in Missouri, man, we snag spoonbill, and that's a fun fish, especially even on the kayak. But what's got me stuck is smallmouth bass in our river systems here in Missouri.
Right.
Hard to beat. It's hard to beat. I've
those
never been to Michigan
crazy.
And caught those footballs, but the river smallmouth up here in Missouri, that's enough to keep me going all the time. So,
brother, river smallies, they're just, I mean, there's a common denominator, whether it's a northern smallie or, you know, like a Highland Res smallie or river or eastern. There's a common denominator, and that is these things are just batshit crazy in the head. Yeah. I mean, they fight. Oh my goodness, they got a lot of fight in them.
Oh yeah.
And the thing.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the thing I like about that species, make no mistake, I love my green swamp donkeys. They're a ton of fun. But the thing that is just the extra challenge is I do believe that the smallmouth bass is just a little bit more of a thinking predator. You got to be a little bit better on your game to be able to really fool the big ones, you know, to come after you. Because I just think they're maybe a little more stop, think first before they attack, where the green ones tend to go cross-eyed and just start snapping at anything around them, you know, from time to time.
Yeah, they're definitely a finesse fish, and especially when you have a lightweight rod, lightweight line, and it's a blast. In the river smallies, so they're awesome. Strong. They're strong fish, dude. I do like my ditch pickles too, but you know, nothing like catching that bronze.
That's right. So talk to me about the kayak fishing aspect of what you guys do there. What's that all about?
Yeah, so we have a kayak series called Fallen Outdoors Kayak Anglers, FOKA. It's a monthly online series open to anybody nationwide. We fish from our first tournament starts in March and our last one ends in October, sometimes September based on weather. And we get 25 to 60 some anglers sign up. And it just goes to support veterans. You know, all the money raised goes right back to the organization, the Fallen Outdoors. First place gets awesome trophies, awesome prize packages. Second place gets awesome prize packages from all of our sponsors. And they get a whole new lure selection, brand new rods, just all kinds of stuff that the outpouring of the outdoor fishing community has given us to give back to those who are participating. And it becomes I call it tournaments to reduce the 22. And that's really what it is. It's no drama fishing in support of our veterans.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. We've often thought of doing a similar thing with Romans is, trying to connect and using our Alabama roots to, try to do, organize a little deal there, just a way to, create some extra help for these different trips that we're trying to put together and things like that. But yeah, man, that is awesome. So hang on one second here. Let me make sure. What is the name of the series that people can go research and find to sign up?
Yeah, and we have our own Facebook page too. It's Fallen Outdoors Kayak Anglers.
Fallen Outdoors Kayak Anglers. And that's on Facebook if they search that?
Yep. And then registration links and flyers monthly will be up on there, and links to our Tourney X and stuff like that as well.
Perfect.
Low entry fees and just good payouts with, prize packs and camaraderie.
Awesome stuff. You heard it, folks. Go check them out, man. Get signed up out there. And, it's doing something that you love to do. And the fact that where this money's going, what it's going to do, try to help. I always tell people this a lot, Mike, that, of course, donations are a big deal to really keep the engine moving for all of these nonprofits. But I'll tell you, if you really want to do something that not only carries an impact, but also is really looked upon favorably and very grateful, it's the time. When you dedicate your time to help with one of these events or to go fish one of these events, that's your time you're giving, and that is what, quite frankly, most of what I have found when I encounter gentlemen like yourself, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that I was once told this, anybody can write a check. Not everybody wants to give their time to something.
Absolutely.
And that means a lot, man, because it's that validation that these citizens out here, the people that you were protecting, you were taking care of, it's their way they can show back to that. So I always try to tell people, get involved in those things, spend a little bit. And this is a great way to do it. Sign up on that, go fish, go do what you love, and know that you're taking care of some folks that more than have earned it and deserve it.
Yeah, and even if you're not a kayak angler, usually one tournament throughout the year we do at any means, which means you can fish from the shore, a bass boat, a kayak, an inflatable unicorn if you wanted to. As long as you're following the rules and have your catch board and
challenge accepted.
You'd be surprised at some of the things you see on these Missouri rivers up here.
Well, especially during, between Memorial Day and Labor Day, brother. I mean, you never know what you're going to catch on Lake of the Ozarks.
We have more than one party coves now, so.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. So summertime, I usually do my fishing at night. Me and a bunch of guys will go out at 6 o'clock at night and we'll fish till 3 or 4 in the morning. And I mean, the bass bite is phenomenal. Getting behind those docks and no wake, no boats on the water, crystal clear, and the bite is good.
That's some juice right there, man. Just spilling. That's some good stuff. Because that's you never know. It can be crazy in some of these places for sure. Now, you're located. What it would be the biggest body of water closest to you?
Probably Lake of the Ozarks.
Lake of the Ozarks. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I live in Waynesville. We call it Waynes Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm exactly halfway on the 44 corridor from St. Louis to Springfield, right in the middle.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, that's one of my favorite areas through that through Missouri. I love that Missouri's got so many different sections of it that actually just they set up environmentally and the people in the towns are so very different. Yeah. And it's really I like that central, really in between Lake of the Ozarks, Truman, those little areas there by Ratchet and, some of those. It's a really cool little place through there. I like that section of the state.
Yeah, we're in the Ozark Plateau, and I mean, it's beautiful. When you're floating down our rivers, I mean, it's scenic as all can be. You got bald eagles overhead and nice rock shelves, big rock cliffs. I mean, and our water's crystal clear too most of the time. It's a scenic, beautiful place. So
That's awesome stuff. So let's keep going down the list here. So with Fallen Outdoors is the heart of this whole thing here. But now you're also so you work with some other companies. I'm noticing here you're a brand ambassador with ScentLock. Is that a new deal, or is that something you've been with those guys for a while?
Yeah, I've been with those guys for a while. Blocker Outdoors and ScentLock are all owned by Nexus Outdoors, and it's a clothing brand company dedicated to mainly hunting. We do have Whitewater, which is our fishing side, but it's an awesome group of guys and girls that just love the outdoors, live it, and create new material all the time to help you blend in better in the outdoors.
Perfect. Also with Upwind Odor Elimination, obviously another hunting, and then Hunting RX.
Got to have that prescription for the outdoors,
right?
That's what the RX is all about. So,
that's awesome. Now I see here owner of Ridge to River Outdoors. What is that?
Yeah. So before I retired in 2020, my town's small. Our biggest outfitter, so to speak, is Walmart. And I'm not a big fan of Walmart myself. I'm all about small, especially veteran-owned businesses. And so, you know what? I'm going to create my own little outdoor store and have a storefront in my town.
Nice.
I'm not to the outdoor storefront brick and mortar yet, but you can see on the wall here, I have tons of plastics, tons of jigs. And on the other side of the wall is kind of all my hunting stuff, reveal trail cameras. So I have a small online store that usually I push about $70,000 in sales a year. It keeps me busy. And once I do go brick and mortar in my hometown, we'll be the premier Pulaski County outdoor store, and it should be pretty good. So
let's see here. I'm just pulling this up here real quick. Folks at home, the name is Ridge, the number 2 River Outdoors. I'm going to throw this up here for you.
Yep. We have our online store, ridgetoriveroutdoors.com. Just recently got into thermals. So I'm a big predator hunter too. So we do our nighttime predator hunting. We have our own Facebook page, website, all that good stuff. So
go hit them up on Facebook, give them a like, give them a follow, and you can find the website right there. You can see all the good content they've been throwing up there with different products and such. Absolutely 100% support. Make sure that you're seeing what they got there, because almost guaranteed somebody watching this is going to you're going to carry something they're going to need or want. And even if they don't need it yet, maybe they don't realize they need it. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got some local Missouri products here too, and I've already promised some kind of veteran-owned businesses that are smaller, that once I do get my brick and mortar, I want to have our veteran side of the building set up for veteran-owned businesses, that the people who pour their own plastics right there in their garage and stuff like that. I want to highlight those as well. So
hell yeah. So I'm looking down. We could be here for 2 hours. You are working with and helping represent many companies. I see you're involved in some archery stuff. So pretty much, if it involves the outdoors, you're into it, huh?
I live it and love it.
That's awesome, brother. Yep. I love that. Let's talk specifically real quick. Sure. One of the things I like to always highlight on this, because this goes to helping with your mission and ours. Talk to me what kayak fishing means to you. It's its own bird, man. It's its own entity. There's a different experience when it comes to that. What is it? What is kayak fishing as far as been your experience with it, and what it means to you right now as far as getting out there and chasing them?
Yeah. So the big thing about kayak fishing to me is that therapeutic, side of things. You're sitting, inches above the water. You're not using a gas engine. It's not loud. It's so peaceful. You almost feel connected to the water no matter where you're at. The waterways, it pushes you where it wants to push you. And it's just that huge connection with nature, and catching fish, big or small, no matter what the species is, it's the healing power. It's like, man, how did I catch that? And seeing the fish react to the way you work your baits, and it all comes down to healing.
I always try to tell people that, and it is, because I came from the bass boat world, and I loved my bass boat. I love fishing from the deck of a bass boat, and there are times that I still miss it. Make no mistake. Yeah. But since coming to the kayak side of things, I will say I've not looked back. I've not had any buyer's remorse by coming full into the kayak side. But it is just a little bit more of an intimate experience. Like you said, dude, you're inches from the water. All of a sudden now water temp it isn't just a number on a gauge. It's on my fingertips, right? I mean, I'm like, yep, that's the temperature right now.
Yeah.
Or wind. When the wind changes, I heard it, I knew it, I read about it, and I kind of saw it from my deck of my bass boat, but I had a 21-foot bass boat with a 112-pound, Fortrex on the front of my boat, or actually Ultrex on the front of my boat, and then a Garmin Force. Wind didn't bother me, right? I mean, it's like, no, I would turn, I could face wherever I wanted to face. But now, dude, when that 5-mile-an-hour wind, just that little breeze, when it changes, I see it. I feel it. My boat moves. I can see the lily pad shifting. That sun, all of a sudden on this lily pad, it's casting a different shadow now. And maybe now that's the strike zone is on this side of the stump. I just feel like when you get in that kayak, you like you said it, man, you just get dialed in and you just notice and feel things a little bit differently.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you said a huge word for me is lily pads.
Right.
That's one thing we do not have a lot of in Missouri. And
right.
We have a couple stretches of the river where you'll have, 300 or 400 yards of lily pads, and we beat them up.
Yep.
You don't see them very often. And I've always wanted to uproot a bunch and throw them in my kayak and replant them. But unfortunately, I believe that's illegal. But yeah, when you find lilies or any type of cover that's, not normally around, it's awesome. And that's the things that excite you.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Definitely the presentation changes is totally different from being elevated on a bass boat to being down in that kayak. The presentation is 90% of your catch.
I found too that I end up using my egg beaters a lot more than I used to. I'll be the first to say it. I've been doing this for a few years. When it come to skipping docks and things like that, in the old days, it was all bait caster for me. But now, because of the swing and because of the range what I have, I actually end up skipping a lot more of my baits with a spin casting reel now, just because it's easier. I just find it easier to get, get that wacky worm, underneath that dock a little easier, that jig. Including not skipping, but I actually have started as of last year, started to fish jerk baits. Actually, I'm fishing them from a spin caster now, just because I just find it, for the kayak fishing, I find it a little bit easier to operate them that way.
I love my spin casts, and I get beat up all the time by the guys at kayak fish. They're like, "Hey, when are you ever going to get a bait caster?" I was like, "Fine, I'll go out and buy one, and I'll have it on my kayak, and I'll never pick it up." But I'll run 8 spin casts, and I'm down with them, and I'm fluid with them, and I'll throw jerk baits, I'll throw buzz baits with my spin cast. Yeah, my arm will be a little more tired than theirs are throughout the end of the day, but heck on it, that spin cast is where I'm at. I'm a sniper, as the Armies would say, with it. So
yeah, exactly. I find myself more efficient with it. The only time I will say for sure is I prefer I'm a big jig guy. I love pitching and flipping. So I like a high speed reel with a good 7-foot, medium heavy, pool cue in my hand. I like to get that out there, and that for jigging 100%, I'm not a bait caster or my cranks. If I'm throwing crankbaits, I prefer a bait caster just because I can control cadence a little easier with them, and like you said, fatigue. I don't blast out as fast, with that. But yeah, for sure, it helps tune you in.
90% of the time, I'm throwing jigs, and even in the winter, when people are like, "Oh, it's crankbaits, it's buzz baits, it's jerk baits," I got a jig with a crawl or some sort of chomper, set up on it or something like that, and I'm going to town. I'm down there finessing it. So,
do you ever get an opportunity with your busy schedule and such? Do you ever get a chance to jump in any of the national tournaments, local tournaments, anything like that?
No, I never went to any of the KBF ones. I just do a bunch of the local series. I'll fish Moayak a little bit, KMO, and then I'll fish some of my series. But other than that, it's
nice. I
stay pretty busy. If I'm traveling for the organization, I'm hitting up our teams and checking out banquets. And the last couple of years, we partnered with Major League Fishing, so we have booths at all the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Circuit events, and we go meet the pros and hang out with those guys, which a lot of those guys are veterans too. So you get James Worldwide Watson. He's on the Bass Pro circuit, and he's a crazy character. But
yeah, he is.
Yeah, and a couple of the referees for Major League Fishing are veterans too. So it's cool going out there and traveling across the U.S. and seeing that.
Isn't Randy Morris one of those?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep. Yeah, we've long been waiting on the MLF to dip its toe into the kayak scene, man. We match up. So, I mean, the catch photo release along with their catch weigh release, it's like, come on, man, this is such a natural progression, you know, but obviously they got some stuff they got to work out on their boat side to get things dialed in where they need it.
And a lot of those guys do kayak fish too. I mean, Iaconelli is probably the peak of those guys. And he really promotes kayak angling, even over his bass fishing. And Mike, he's a crazy fool too.
Yeah, he is.
So
getting Carl Jochimson, he's going to throw his hat in the ring. He's getting involved. You got Jordan Lee. He does. I don't know how much competition he does, but he definitely fishes out of a kayak. So yeah, you're right. It's catching. People are seeing it out there for sure.
It's a little bit cheaper too.
Well, exactly right. It's like
they're going through $400 or $500 worth of just gas. Not alone their $150,000 bass boats, but
I was going to say
they're getting a little expensive too nowadays.
I can pull away from a gas station and still smile. You know,
with your little Debbies.
Exactly. Couple ho-hos and a full tank of my pickup. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I want to personally 100% invite you. If you get an opportunity, we would love, and if there's anybody else that's working with the Fallen Outdoors, we would love to have a powwow get-together with you at the All-American Kayak Classic. The reason I mention this one is because with the Romans Warrior Foundation working with the All-American Kayak Series, and then the Clinton Chamber of Commerce and its Visitors Bureau has put up a donation so that we are going to be bringing the Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance to Clinton, Missouri during the All-American Kayak Classic. We're going to be at the Benson Convention Center is where the Classic is being held, and we're going to have the wall, which is 120 foot long. We are the only mobile monument dedicated to the global war on terror in the United States right now, the only mobile one. And we set up one side of that wall is the education side, no politics, just timelining from 1983 Beirut to current date. Nice. Just timelining what is the global war on terror, trying to educate people. The other side is the biggest piece. It's the honor side. It's brothers and sisters that we've lost to this war. Yeah. The last panel is wherever we take this wall from New York to LA across the United States. This panel is where folks can come and write the names of those that have lost the war here at home on the Stop 22 aspect. And so that, unfortunately, that we're going to need to be expanding that panel eventually here. But these are folks can come up with a permanent marker and write the name of their family member, brother, sister, whoever it is, and put it on the wall there so that we can make sure we honor them. It's a moving experience. We got Brian Romans from the Romans Warrior Foundation will be in town. He is a retired Marine, so he'll be coming into town and joining us for this event. If there's any way you can get up there, it's beginning of May. I would love to have you come up, man, and that would be just a cool deal. We could get you guys set up with a table there or whatever for the Fallen Outdoors. That would be a fantastic deal. We believe in locking shields and working together, man. We're not one that we don't want to be those bucket guys that just hold everything inside one location. So anything we could do to help you guys out there, this would be a great, we think this community is really, really excited about us coming to town, and we're hoping to be able to pull some people all the way from Kansas City to come on down there and see the wall and experience that.
Yeah. I don't know what my schedule looks like, but I mean, that's only a few hours away. So that's very worth it. So,
yeah. Absolutely. So we'll after we're done with this, we'll get together and exchange some info there. That way we keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
So the other one, man, we're going to be open the series. All American's going to be open in the season right at the beginning of April there at Lake of the Ozarks, right in your backyard. So be looking for us, man. We'll be there.
Absolutely.
But we'll now of all these other companies and the other things that you're getting involved with, what have I not covered that we should know about? And that you want to hit on?
Oh man, That's pretty much it. I'm an ambassador for the outdoors, and a lot of those companies, showcase especially veterans in the outdoors. Tacticam is another brand I work with as a team member / dealer, and they really support the fallen outdoors. Anytime we do a banquet, they come up and set up a booth and raffle off cameras that we purchased, and 100% of the proceeds comes right back to us. So Tacticam has been real good for us. Our organization, we just picked up 2 big sponsors, one of which being Grizzly Tobacco and the Grizzly Outdoor Corps.
Nice.
For all you tobacco chewers, if you go to mygrizzly.com, there's actually a Fallen Outdoors drop-down menu that shows a whole bunch of videos showcasing what we do with the Grizzly Outdoor Corps. And then recently, we just partnered with the Kathy Ireland Worldwide Foundation. We became a charitable partner for Kathy Ireland. Some of you older crowd may know who she is.
Bro, I'm 51. I know who Kathy Ireland is, dog.
The younger crew don't, but
they pour them. Yeah, this was so back in the days when a magazine was everything. Sports Illustrated, man. Holy Moses.
I'm sure her picture was under a bunch of little boys' beds. So. But she was a fashion mogul, model. She's a billionaire, a mogul, and she really cares about the fallen outdoors and the what we do in that veteran community. So they brought us on board, and they provide
awesome
resources. And we're actually going to do some TV shows called Hook and Cook, where we'll take her out fishing. More likely, it'll be all across the U.S. And whatever we catch, we're going to keep, and they'll fly out a chef, videotape, and they'll cook the meals for all the veterans on the trips, and it's gonna be an awesome thing. So
that sounds phenomenal.
That relationship, yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool,
dude. That is so cool that she's doing that. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, let's just be honest. Swimsuit models, usually not considered. We know it's BS when they say I'm doing this to get through college. No, you're not. Yeah. Shut up. But dude, this is. To see what she did with, the fame and notoriety, to spin it into something like this, to make impactful, I mean, that just goes to show at that point. I mean, no, she is 100% solid human being right at the core.
Absolutely.
That is so cool.
Yep.
I knew I liked her.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty neat working with her. So.
That is awesome, man. So you guys got a lot of cool stuff on there, folks. You can see it right here. Ridge to River Outdoors. This is the story you want to make sure double down on. Go check them out. See what they're moving. Follow along with them out there so you can see when new stuff comes down. And then, of course, who we've been talking about from the beginning, the Fallen Outdoors. It's another nonprofit doing some amazing work to a great degree. I'm gonna tell you this right now. You guys are where we want to be. Right. I mean, we have a lot of entities with the Romans Warrior Foundation and the TPO. We're very young, but when we see organizations out here having this impact on these special projects and these deals, you're where we want to be. So I'll tell you what, anytime you're willing, I'll be picking brains, man, and taking suggestions on how we can manage and work our way, to those areas there. Cause that's, I think that's how we do this stuff, right?
Absolutely. And like I said, we consider ourselves one huge resource. We're not, the be all do all. We want to provide, as many opportunities for our veterans in the outdoors as we can. And I've had brothers and sisters, kind of create their own little 501c3s and reach out to me like, hey man, how do I do this? And so I help them out and become a mentor for them, because it's one more organization that ain't going to hurt.
100%.
Yep.
I've seen both sides of this. In a previous lifetime before all this came about, I was volunteering for nonprofit organizations, just giving my time as an angler, to take folks out. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I ran across, which these people are great people. I love them to death, but I ran across several organizations that quite frankly were just, I'm going to keep my resources to me. Yep. If you want to give me something, great. But I'm just going to hold on to it, and I'm not going to reciprocate that. And one of the last event that I went to, Staff Sergeant Justin Patterson. I love this man to death. He's out doing great things, continuing. He's a combat vet, Purple Heart recipient. he told me, and hide your kids' ears at home, folks, because I'm going to quote him 100%. He's like, don't be one of those bucket motherfuckers, all right? You be a conduit. Yep. And as information comes to you, you pass it through. Use it all you want, but pass it through on to where it can help somebody else. He's like, you know, that's the thing you need to do. And I followed that man's advice from day one. So anything we can do to help others, you know, along that way, as long as the mission's true and people behind it are real, then yeah, 100%. That's where we can go with that. So that's cool to see that you guys are doing the same, man. So folks, also another way you can really help out is check out on Tourney X, check out on the website, Fallen Outdoors Kayak Anglers. Join up, man. Sign up with them. It's another opportunity to fish. And the difference is this one here isn't about personal fame and glory. This one here is about winning some cool prizes, but above all, taking care of and making sure that some monies and funds are going into a place that they need to be going. Helping set these trips up, helping make a lot of these things possible, getting more people involved in fishing and outdoors. That's the whole point.
Yep. One of the biggest things we say is, you know, our organization is all veterans. We cater to those currently serving in the past, and our Gold Star families. However, we can't do our mission alone. We need the help of our civilian counterparts, families, fellow vets, and friends. And so, you know, if there's an opportunity that when you go fishing one day on your bass boat, it's just you, you know, reach out to our organization and we'll get you in touch with the team near you and take another veteran out. And that's the biggest thing for me is when I do that for the first time, I take somebody out, it's a wildfire. Next thing I see them posting, saying, hey, I can take somebody with me. Then that person starts, and it just creates that huge wildfire. And that's what we need right now in this day and age.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, brother. Well, listen, I think we've covered it all here, what we wanted to. I'm looking forward to getting an opportunity to meet you firsthand when I'm out there in Missouri. And if there's ever anything we can do here at the TPO, just consider us a resource, man. We're here as well. Podcast, always, you are, the door is wide open from this point on. You are 100% welcome to come on, talk about special events you got going on, or if we need to do a call to action. We're we're down to help out, man, with the Romans Warrior Foundation Field Ops Division and, of course, with the TPO. And, yeah, anytime you want to come join us with the All-American, man, I at least got one of your dinners covered. I promise you that for sure.
I look forward to it. Yep.
Awesome. All right, brother, we'll stick around here after we roll out of this here, and you and I will chat and exchange some contact. Folks, you saw all the stuff there. Make sure to go out, support, do what you can with this. That's the reason we do this. The likes and subscribes are huge. That is a great, great way to support all these organizations that you just heard of here. And, of course, the Doc Talk podcast. This is our platform, our megaphone to get this stuff out here. So, as always, folks, we appreciate you. We love you. We couldn't do it without you. Tight lines. Be safe. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Mike as much as we did as well, man. What a super, super cool dude. It was an honor to share some time and space with him. Awesome stuff. Folks, that's it. That brings us to the end of the show here for this week. If you're listening through the audio podcast form, we thank you and can't express enough to you how much we appreciate your dedication to us. If you're watching online through YouTube, Facebook, again, same thing. If you're watching live, amazing support. We love you guys, and we can't do this stuff without you. You know, one of the pieces with the veteran-owned small businesses that if you guys know me, dude, there's enough negativity out there in the world coming at you and bombarding you every day of the week, and we are basically in the area of our life, man, where we just don't have time for that kind of stuff. And we want to share these cool stories with you, to let you know about these people that are operating right in your backyard, man. If it's Battleborn Tackle, if it's the Fallen Outdoors, if it's Champions Outdoors, whatever it is, and whoever it is, there's a lot of cool things taking place out there. And you know what? Donate a little bit of your time, volunteering a little bit here and there, or just at the very least, throwing those likes and those subscribes on these folks, areas. It really, really helps in a major, major way. And that's what we want to continue to share. We know our podcast may not be for everybody out there. We don't get into a lot of the other areas that perhaps other platforms will, but that's okay, man. This is we're here to serve those that have served or continue to serve, and that's what we're going to do. That's the whole purpose of this, and the amazing organizations that surround us that do so. Paddle and Fin giving us this platform. Roman's Warrior Foundation. Without them, none of this is possible for the TPO. All American Kayak Series. Lock and Shields with Roman's Warrior Foundation to bring this across. Of course, Battleborn Tackle, bringing this all together. All these organizations, man, we all believe in the same mission, and we're doing business at the same time, And so it's just a super cool deal. Now, speaking of Battleborn, like I told you, Battleborn Tackle out there. Go check them out, battleborntackle.com, at Battleborn Tackle, hashtag Battleborn Tackle. Start getting ready for that because we're going to do some giveaways next Monday, I believe on the 26th, I believe is the day it's going to be. 26th, 25th, 26th, I think is what it is. We're going live, and we're going to have AJ Gagliardo in here from Battleborn Tackle. And we got a little giveaways that we're going to do. We're going to select a couple random drawings on that. It's going to be a ton of fun. When he stops by, and we're going to learn all about that. Plus, we're going to have a few other guests that are going to be stopping in. It's going to be a really cool episode, man, that we want to air out there for you. But as promised, Battleborn Tackle. Already great prices. Use TPO 2024. That's TPO 2024 to get an additional 10% off. I'm telling you, man, with free shipping and already great prices, as good as most of the big box retailers out there. Dude, this is a heck of a steal. Get an additional 10% off. This is Battleborn Tackle's way of saying thank you, and they want to reach out. Make sure to use that code, man, TPO 2024. That lets Battleborn know that we have reach and that people are seeing us here and that there's value to working with us, man. And at the end of the day, it's about small business, right? It's about doing things for the better good, and that's this will be a great way. So enjoy that 10% extra with them, and you're helping everybody involved when you do so. So hopefully that comes in handy. All right, folks, that brings us to the end here. So don't forget those likes, subscribes. Again, our amount of gratitude we have for each and every one of you that joins us here through audio or through video. We can't begin to explain how much you mean to us. We appreciate any and everything you do with that type of support. As always, folks, we will see you. Make sure to check out Wednesday. We got another episode in those Angler series. That's still going on. So in the meantime, tight lines. Be safe.